podcast hosted by me, Rob L. Lowe, where we talk about those things that deeply impact the lives of boys and men without ever bashing women. We talk about everything from the bedroom to the boardroom, from the playground to the stadium, and everything in between. So, stay tuned. You know what? Season 4, we're well on our way. If you checked out the last episode, you know that I'm not holding any punches this year. And so, as I thought about the next topic after the last show, I was like, man, what's something else I want to talk about that I think doesn't get enough conversation? And here it is. Today's topic, should celebrating holidays be important in a relationship? Now, before you lose your mind, everybody's different. Everybody's different. But I know people that celebrate some holidays. I know some people that don't celebrate any holidays. And I know people that really, really love holidays, like all holidays. And there's other people that don't. And so I'll start with me. You know, because of my own experiences, I'm not a big fan of holidays. So, my daughters and my family, they love Christmas. It's cool. I do it because they love it. I like filming them. I love watching them open up their gifts. But when I got married, I told my wife, I said, I just want you to know I'm not celebrating Valentine's Day. And she said, why not? I said, at the time, I told her it was because I don't want to find one day out the year that I'm responsible for trying to make you happy and do nice things and spoil you. I don't want to get into that habit. I want to force myself to learn to do that all year because I wasn't accustomed to that. That's what I said 27, 28 years ago, almost 29 years ago. The reality is now that I'm older, it's because I didn't understand the value of intimacy and love, and there was some childhood trauma in that. I don't celebrate my birthday at all. So my wife and my daughters have to make me celebrate my birthday because I did not celebrate my birthday that I can remember from the age of 8 until I was 40 years old. It's in my book. I wrote about it. My wife made me celebrate my 40th birthday, and my cousin Jelani made me celebrate my 50th, but it was during COVID. And so birthdays for me, I don't remember them for other people. And sometimes people get offended and they get mad. People that work on my team, people in my family. Like I remember my daughters, I remember my wife, I remember my sisters and certain folks. But for the most part, I don't keep track of birthdays because it's not important to me. And I've had people over the years like really get offended that I didn't do that because it's something they value. Mother's Day and Father's Day. Those are really big holidays for people, but not for me. Why? Probably because I lost my mom when I was 7. And so that thing means something different to me. Yes, I have a wife who is a mother and a grandmother. But I didn't get to celebrate Mother's Day with the woman that was my mother at all, period. So it means something different to me. Same thing with the Father's Day. I didn't have a father growing up. I had a grandfather who was amazing, but I was too young to understand the impact of Father's Day and what that meant. The same was my grandmother. As I got older, I learned the value of it, but it didn't come natural for me. And so this podcast today is an emotional one for me. But I want to talk about why many of us put more emphasis on celebrating holidays more than others. So I got a couple things I pulled up. Just bear with me. I want to read something. So here's a couple reasons why people celebrate holidays, or why for some people it's more important than others. So one says the emotional and sentimental value. For many people, holidays are tied to childhood memories, family traditions, personal milestones. If one partner sees a holiday as deeply meaningful and the other doesn't, it can create feelings of neglect and disappointment. That's true. I often see that in folks that, people who their love language are acts of service or quality time, right? Or gifts. Like they love holidays. But someone who might be words of affirmations and physical touch, that may not be their thing. It might be other things that really fuel them. Something else. Cultural and religious differences. And this is a big one. We don't think about that. Holidays often reflect religious or cultural beliefs. If partners come from different backgrounds, deciding which holidays to celebrate or how to celebrate them can become a source of conflict. You know what? I think that's something that is underrated. Just because we look the same color does not mean we have the same cultural understanding. Just because we come from the same country does not mean that our cultural norms are the same. There are cultures and then there's subcultures. And someone from a different country may have a totally different culture, subculture altogether. But I think it's important to recognize that two people can both exist and have different perspectives. The key is to find out why you value a holiday the way that you do, and if someone not celebrating that holiday, does it take away from the way they feel for you, or vice versa? And if they do celebrate that holiday, how can they do it in a way that brings you joy but does not compromise who they are or what they value? Because you can't get mad because people don't always see the world the way that you do. You didn't live their life. You didn't walk in their shoes. And I don't think we often see that. We want what we want, but we often miss out on the opportunity to hear someone else's perspective on why they do what they do. Expectations versus reality. Okay, here's a good one. Holidays, especially Valentine's days, birthdays, or anniversaries, often come with high expectation. If one partner expects grand gestures and the other doesn't see the holiday as a big deal, it can lead to hurt feelings. All right, here we go. Let's go and talk about these. I've seen on social media, I've seen in my own life, people who, when it comes to birthdays, anniversaries, things like that, where there's gifts that are normally involved, man, there are high expectations. High expectations. But as I stated in the beginning, I have none. You don't have to give me nothing. You know, you can tell me you love me the same as you did the day before, because those things don't mean much to me. And for those that it does mean a lot to, explain to the person in your life why. Don't tell them what you want. Explain to them why. Because there's often a deeper meaning as to why those holidays mean so much to you. Sometimes that deeper meaning comes from trauma. Sometimes it just comes from a great childhood where that's what you're accustomed to. But don't expect the person to just know it off the bat, and don't beat them over the head if they don't have the same perspective as you do. It's all about communication. It's all about managing expectations. It's all about being realistic and open-minded. And then financial strain. All right, here's one. I know people who will literally spend their last dime and not even pay their bills in order to have a great Christmas or go ball out for their birthday. I want you to just think about that. I'm going to make sure people have a great Christmas, or I have a great Christmas, or I'm going to ball out on my birthday, but I can't even pay my bills, or I don't even have money in a savings account. You know how irresponsible that is? That's just irresponsible. Now, if you do it, I think you're irresponsible, but you got to go figure out, why do you value that so much? What is that about? And if you're dating someone who does that and you're a person who doesn't do that, especially if you're in a relationship where the person does not care that there is no money in the bank. They don't care that bills won't get paid. If you're dating someone like that, here's my advice: get out of it. If they're not going to change, if they don't respect that, you know, there is a discipline that you have because you want more other than just living a day in the life. If they're not willing to compromise, that doesn't mean you can't do something on that day, but you don't have to go all out. If you can't afford it, don't put yourself in a financial hole for the sake of trying to prove something on one day. It goes back to why I said Valentine's Day, because I don't want to get caught up in the ideal of having this one special day where I do something for people or the person that means the most to me. Something else to think about. Here's another one. Family involvement. Oh my goodness. How many of you know people in your circle that have peer pressure about celebrating holidays because their family tells them it should happen? Their family puts that pressure on them that he's not good or she's not good if they don't celebrate these things. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Please don't let your grandma, your grandpa, your brother, your sister, your mom or dad tell you how to have a meaningful relationship when it comes to holidays. If the person that you're dating or married to gives you everything that you could want and nurtures you and supports you and uplifts you, but maybe they're not the most social person, maybe they're not big on holidays, but they provide for you emotionally and financially in so many other ways. Don't get caught up in that. And if you're someone who really needs that, then don't pick someone who doesn't. And don't get mad at them if they're not interested in you. Like, I know, I before I got married, I had people in my life that I dated who like really wanted a lot of stuff. I cut that off. I was like, man, it ain't me you want. You love me for what I can do. And that's part of the love languages, right? 5 love languages: acts of service, gifts, quality time, physical touch, words of affirmations. And it's not to say that they wanted just me for my money. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is what they valued, I couldn't give them. I wasn't in the position to give them. And if they couldn't see the things that I could give as value, then I didn't need to be with them. And I just want you to think about that. If you can do nice things on holidays, by all means do them. But they should not be the end all be all. And one should not measure the quality of relationship by what you do on a few days of the year. I just want you to think about that. I would tell people, if I could do my wedding over, I got married 1998. I think we spent $10,000, $11,000 at that time, which is not a lot of money. But if I could have done it over, I wouldn't have paid for a wedding. I'd have just got married in a church, in a backyard, or I'd have had a destination wedding and had people come there and then got married at the same place I had my honeymoon. That's what I would have did. Or I'd have took that wedding money and used it for a down payment on my first house so I could have a lower interest rate. Just me, but something to think about. And then finally, social pressure and comparisons. Social media will distort the way we view relationships and the quality of them. Man, I think this season I'm going to talk about that a lot. Do not get caught up in what social media says a great relationship is. You got to find out what you value, find out what you need, what's important to you, and then be willing to compromise. But if a person nurtures you, if they pour into you emotionally, spiritually, financially, if they care about your total well-being, at least be willing to compromise, because a pitcher that pours into a cup at some point needs to be refilled. Just keep that in mind. A pitcher that pours into a cup at some point needs to be refilled. And if you're not refilling the pitcher, don't keep expecting your cup to get filled. Here's some things to think about: how to avoid conflict, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. Communicate early. Compromise. Focus on the meaning of the holiday and why, and respect each other's perspectives. If you do those things and you're conscious about them, you won't have as big an issue. So again, this season, I'm going in. I'm going hard. I'm saying all the things that people want to say and they don't. And so if holidays are important to you, great. Honor them, respect them, but don't beat people up for those that are not. Date those that understand your position, but try to understand theirs. I hope you got something out of this podcast. I'll see you next time. It's me, Rob L. Lowe, your boy, and this is In His Voice Podcast. Take care. God bless.